Hey there, this is Nina Perez, and this is Straight Talk, no sugar added. Thank you so much for being here. You know, this show is created to discuss real life topics to challenge and transform your thinking. And I like to go around the planet searching for the best humans I can find to come on here to grow and challenge the way we think so that we can expand what we're doing, what we're thinking, how our lives are going to be. So today I have Dr. Ruth Gotian, and I hope I said that right. She is the Chief Learning Officer and Assistant Professor of Education and Anesthesiology and former Assistant Dean of Mentoring and Executive Director of the Mentoring Academy. I hear your speaker.
You got that right.
At Weill Cornell Medicine. You're fine. Her research is about mindset, guys, and you know we love to discuss this. And this is her mindset and skill set of peak performers, including Nobel laureates, astronauts, Olympic champions, and she has a book that's coming out that's called The Success Factor. So I really wanted to get into this with her. I'm really excited she's here. Dr. Ruth, thank you for being here with us. So I know that's a little bit of a snippet of who you are, but I would really love for you to tell us a little bit more about you, please.
Thank you so much, Nina, for having me. I'm really excited to be here because I obsess about success, and anybody who wants to geek out with me about it, I am game. I've been studying success for a very long time because I don't think anybody wakes up in the morning aiming to be average. I think people want more, but they don't really know how to do it. And you can't really copy other people's habits. That doesn't really work. So what's another way that it can be done? So I decided to find out. And when I want to find something out, I go deep. So at the age of 43, I decided while working full time and raising my family, I was going to go back to school and get my doctorate. So I did.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I literally got a doctorate in success, and I haven't stopped studying it since. And it's when I realized that an astronaut is just like an Olympic champion figure skater, I realized that these are learnable skills. And if they're learnable skills, I'm an adult educator. I can teach them. So I've been going around the globe teaching it, wrote the book, The Success Factor, about it, and just thrilled to be here and share it with everyone.
Oh, that sounds so exciting. I love that you went and got your doctorate in success. Oh, that's so great. Anyway, okay. So I'm going to geek out with you too, because I kind of love this kind of stuff. And it's true. Like even in my 40s too, I'm reinventing myself and learning more about me and about success and mindsets and mind flow and the whole thing. And I am loving it. Personal development and personal growth is like amazing. So, talk to me about what you did before you went for your doctorate. You were an educator, you were a teacher, or?
So way back, my bachelor's and master's are in business. So I tried dipped my toe into finance and international banking and did that for a few years. But then I realized my first love was really to work with students. So I said, well, I already worked with undergrads. I want a new experience. What's the most competitive program I could find? That's what I want to run. So I found out it's for people who want to get the dual MD and PhD degree simultaneously in 7 to 8 years. I said, I want to run that. So I ran that program for over 20 years, everything from recruitment to alumni affairs, admissions, budgets, operations, grants, you name it, I did it. And I loved it. And I noticed that within this group who are already the best of the best, it has a 3% acceptance rate.
Wow.
But even amongst this group, there's certain ones that really just float to the top. And all of our national conversations were about those who were leaving and how do we retain them. And I was more interested in the other end of the spectrum, those whose work is so incredible that it'll more than make up for anybody who is leaving. I wanted to focus on those people.
Right.
And when I went back to school and started researching this, my mentor said to me when we were talking about topics, he said, he never told me what topic to pick, but he said, do something important, not just interesting. Because if it's important, it'll have an impact. If it's interesting, it'll be a hobby. Fun fact, when I asked Dr. Tony Fauci how he picked which projects to work on, he said, I work on things that are important, not just interesting. So now I had two big people telling me this.
Right. And I mean, it sounds like too that you had it already built in you, right? To kind of go for for challenging things or things that you thought were more challenging than the average, right? So do you think success has a lot to do with how you're born or your personality or the grit? Like, do you think that has something to do with each other?
Well, I think that sure you're born with certain talents, but if you don't do anything with them, they're of no great use.
Mhm.
If you're surfing the couch, that's a waste of your talent. But a lot of the high achievers I was born with, I was interviewing and research were actually born with a lot of really incredible talents,
Mm.
but they didn't love all of them. And it took them a while to figure out that they could be good at, like, really good at certain things, but they can be amazing at other things.
Mm.
And they realized they were going to focus on what they're amazing, which turned out to be what they are most passionate about.
That's something. So did you as you're studying all of this, did you discover like methods and ways of discovering that in others? Or are you just mostly studying others and what they're doing?
What kind of an adult educator would I be if I didn't teach people how to do it?
Right.
I so the book is really broken up into three parts. The book, The Success Factor. It's first of all, what is success? And then
Mhm.
what are the four elements that all the high achievers had? And then the third one is how can you implement it into your own life, which is so important because
So
I can
important.
tell you what the four elements are. But if I don't teach you ways to start implementing and trying it out, it's not going to be of very much use. And because I studied adult learning and leadership, I know that not all adults are the same, right? So what works for me may not work for you.
Right.
And what works for me today may not work for me the next time I have a transition, a new job, a new partner, a new child, a move, a parent getting sick. When we have all of these life transitions,
Right.
we need to sometimes re-examine and readjust and realign what it is that the way that we do things. So we know, and this goes back to the earliest adult learning theorists, Malcolm Knowles, who said adults need choices, which is true.
Yeah.
So I created for each one of the elements a buffet of options that you can pick from when you want to learn how to implement these things in your life. So that if it works for you now, and then all of a sudden it stops working for you or is not as effective, I tell people this is a book you can keep on your nightstand and really just open it up, go to the chapter that you need, and you'll learn new ways of doing it that you can
Wow.
try. And sometimes what's old is new again.
Right. And that's true too. I mean, I was reading, I forgot where I was reading that they said they read books 3 and 4 times because they'll always get something new. Most people read a book cover to cover and then put it to the side and never touch it again. But
Okay.
if you really are trying to learn from a book, you should be reading it multiple times. So
That's
I
right.
agree with that. So let me ask you something. Do you think there are multiple uh definitions of success, or do you have a definition that is your go-to when you talk about success?
My early research was just to define it
Right.
because if you asked five people, you'd get eight different
Right.
definitions for it. But what I can tell you is this is that success is a moving target, which means there's always more to do. But
Hmm.
that's really what made all these people successful. None of them quit after they got the Olympic gold medal or the Nobel Prize. I don't know of a single Nobel Prize winner who stopped doing science just because they won the Nobel. If anything, they doubled down and did more,
Right.
right? So
Right.
we have to realize that it's a moving target. There's always something more that you can do. But the way I looked at it, because we can do a whole other episode of how you define success, but
Right.
these are people who really created a paradigm shift in the way things are done in their field. They have
Okay.
achieved something great in a new way. But that's not enough. They're also paying it back and pulling people up as they advance. So it's either through one on one mentorship or running large scale programs, but it's never about just them and their success. It's always about bringing up other people as they move up. And that is so critical.
Hmm. Do you think there's a point though in that journey when they are, when they've reached their laureate or what their Nobel Prize? Do you think that's the where they say, "Okay, I am now successful," or is there ever a feeling of not quite reaching success? You know what I mean? Like you said, it's a moving target. So, because I know we have goals. right? So
Mhm.
there's that, I think that's different than success. But,
Yes.
when you reach a goal, sometimes you think that's what's gonna be the success part, and it's usually not. So
No, and it's so funny, Nina, that you brought this up because whenever I ask, I would reach out to these people and I'd say, "Oh, Nobel Prize winner so and so, you came up on my list as a high achiever," and they would say, "I did," and I would say, "You won the Nobel Prize. If you
right?
don't think that's success, what does that say about the rest of us?" So there's always
Right.
more they want to do.
There's always more. So that's what I mean, like, so then is success really, like, eluding us, or is there success? You know what I mean? Like, is there really success, or is it just an idea?
No, there absolutely is success, but there's also an aspiration, which is what you want to
Good.
do after you've achieved that certain level of success. What's the next step? And in fact, if you ask any of the Olympic champions, any of the NBA champions I've interviewed, NFL Hall of Famers, I said, "Can you show me your favorite medal?" I always ask that at the end. And only two of them had it on display. The rest of them, it's in a brown paper bag in the nightstand, it's in the box under the bed, it's in a brown paper bag in the sock drawer. One of them, Scott Hamilton, gave them all away. He said it
Right.
was just too suffocating to have in the house.
Wow.
One of them had it in a basement in his mother's house. He's like, "Yeah, I've got one at home," because they were very clear with me that those medals were a chapter in their lives, not the
Mm.
entire story.
Right. Wow, that's powerful, isn't it? And it really speaks a lot about our growth and development too, right? Because if you do stay stuck with holding on to just the past and that one medal, you won't move forward. And that's also something you can get into too, right? Hitting that, "Oh, all I want is the Nobel Prize," and then you get it, and then you're like,
Now what?
now what?
Yep.
Right? Yeah, I mean, that happened to, forgot his name, but the chef that, committed suicide, I forget his name off
Oh,
the top of my
yeah.
head.
Mhm.
He said the same thing. He goes, "I've reached as high as I can reach. Now what?" And my immediate thought to that was, you go help someone else reach that too. And I don't know if he ever did do that or not, but he did take his own life. But the point is that I kind of admire them for that, for not having it all on display and
Yeah,
suffocating them, as he put it, That's a really powerful thing because it shows you that you want to keep growing too. Do
that's
you
right.
think that, like, when you said to the Nobel Prize winner, um, and they go, "Really?" Do you think that has to do with, like, self-belief or anything like that? Do you think that has to do with not wanting to have ego or pride, or, what is that?
I think it's something that happened as a result of their work. They didn't do such great science because the Nobel was at the end of the rainbow.
Right,
They
right.
did good science because they believed in it passionately,
That makes sense.
passionately about their research. One of them, who I interviewed, Dr. Bob Lefkowitz, who won the 2012 Nobel Prize in chemistry. He was offered to be chair of a department. He was offered to be deans of school. He always turned it down. He said, "I'm
Mhm.
not interested in that. I just want to do my science."
Right.
And that's what
Right.
he focused on. And actually, people won the Nobel ahead of him whose research came from his research, and
Oh,
they won
wow.
it before him. And he's like, that's what it is.
Right, right, right. Wow, that's powerful, right? I mean, I love finding out that they're only human as well. Like, when I speak to people like that myself, it is so neat to just have a normal conversation with them and realize they're just like me and you.
That's
And
right.
they really just love what they're doing. Now, do you believe that people can be very successful in multiple things? Like, do you think, they he got the Nobel Prize, but then he just switches up and tries to do something else he's gifted in. Do you think he would, also can be successful in that as well?
So I see this especially with the athletes. The scientists continued long term. The athletes took pivots, right? That,
Mhm.
at some point you're not training for another Olympics, right?
Right.
But what are you doing next? But they had the same mindset in whatever they did next, that same work ethic, that same intrinsic motivation. So some of them went to coach in whatever their field is. Some went to do writing. Some went to do
Mhm.
investing. Some went on to professional schools such as medical or law school. But those were the same mindsets that made them so successful in that. And that, again, is because what led to their success is a chapter in their lives, not their entire story. And people always ask me, why, why is it that some crumble when they get the gold medal at 15? It's because they didn't have their next chapter planned out.
Mm,
If
mm.
you have your next chapter, and this is just one chapter, then you're going to go on to great
So
things.
good. That's so good. That says a lot about mentoring too, right? Like surrounding yourself with the
Yes.
right people,
Yes.
especially if you're a young athlete, right? Or somebody who's successful when you're very young. You have to surround yourself with the right people because if somebody would have told them you should think of your next chapter, they wouldn't feel so defeated when
Yeah.
when they can't get there, right?
That's right.
So, do you ever find that that somebody who is successful like that and highly focused on their career or what they're learning, do they struggle with a family life or home life, or do you think that that's also a piece of their success? Focusing on their families or wanting to have a healthy family. Do you ever find any of that? Did you do any kind of research like that?
I didn't do, and I think I didn't look into that deeply. And what I can tell you is anecdotal. Some had beautiful family lives.
Mhm.
Some came from very broken homes.
Mhm. Mhm.
Some, it was fine. It was great. So it really ran the gamut.
Right, and that says a lot, doesn't it? Because that when you're saying that to me and to some people who are listening is that it doesn't matter,
That's right.
right? Like it doesn't matter. You can make it and be successful in anything you put your mindset to and what you focus on,
Right.
right? So that's a powerful thing you just said. Because I think, sometimes you can get into that victim mentality and you can really, even though you have your gifts and you have things that you're very passionate about, but because you are the woe is me or have a victim mentality, that can really steal from you a lot, right? Do you
Ab-
agree?
Absolutely. And if you think, one of the people who I interviewed was Apollo Anton Ono, who is the most decorated Winter Olympian with eight medals, also won the Mirrorball uh, Dancing with the Stars, the Mirrorball
Right.
Trophy. Um, he was raised in a single parent home with his dad,
Wow.
right? And he went to Lake Placid to train at the age of 14 with people who were older than him,
Right.
right? So, and he didn't, as a result, have the traditional high school with the traditional prom and the traditional cap and gown, right? It was very different. Or how about Devin Harris, who was a three-time Olympian, original member of the Jamaican bobsledding team? If you ever saw the movie
Yes.
Cool Runnings,
Yeah.
that's the story of Devin and his teammates. Now, granted, the movie took some creative license, but they're from Jamaica. It's a tropical island. They're
Right.
not surrounded by ice,
Right.
and they had to make it work. In fact, Devin told me that the first time he saw a bobsled was 3-4 months before the Olympics when
Oh
they
my
came to
gosh.
Lake Placid. The first time they saw a bobsled track was at the Olympics,
Wow.
but they did it.
We did it.
They
Right.
did it. And he said to me, it wasn't about winning the medal, it was about getting there.
Right. So what do you do to apply that in your life personally, right? Because you're interviewing amazing people
Mhm.
and your book is about to come out.
Mhm.
And so how do you then apply what you're learning in your life?
I tell people I was patient zero. As soon as I realized these four things, I started implementing it on myself because I said if it works on me, it's going to work on other people. And I can't tell people that they should do something if I didn't try it myself.
Right.
And I tried the four elements, and that's when things really started to improve. And that's when I started writing for Forbes and Psychology Today and invited to all these leadership think tanks and won these big awards. But it really took learning what those four things are. So I know that these things work. I know it
Right.
does.
Right. Well, I'm excited. I can't wait to get my hands on your book, woman. Can't
Thank
wait.
you. I'm so excited for the success factor. I
I
really
am
am.
really excited for it too. I love because you're doing the work, Ruth. You're not just like, spewing out things here. You're literally interviewing all of these very highly successful people and learning what is working and what is not, right? And so to get your hands on a book like that means that you're going to have some key tools from key people
Yeah.
that you want to maybe aspire to or at least glean something back, from that.
And
So,
that's what's so right, Nina. So this is not my anecdotal advice, right? This is not
Right.
Ruth sitting on her couch and spewing out advice. This is actually research that was done at the
Mhm.
doctoral level. That's where it started.
Right.
And then
Right.
it continued since then. And when I talk about the 4 elements of success and how to implement it, I actually share the stories of these Nobel Prize winners and astronauts and Olympic champions. So when I tell you that you need perseverance, you're going to hear about Dr. Peg Whitson, the former chief astronaut for NASA, who was twice the commander of the International Space Station and spent more days in space than any American athlete.
Wow.
But for 10 years, she was turned down as an astronaut. Her
Wow.
application was not accepted for 10 years, but she didn't give up.
Right. Wow. Isn't that
So
something? That's
those are the
powerful.
stories that you will hear. These are not the stories that you get on Google.
Right, right, or from an armchair expert, and so,
Exactly.
I mean, there's a lot of that going on right now, so it's really refreshing to speak to someone like you who is actually doing the actual work and then putting it in play, and so before I wrap up and let you go, I do want you to give us, how we can get our hands on the book. I don't know if you have a podcast or not, or if you do a YouTube channel or anything, but go ahead and share all that with us.
So the book is called The Success Factor. Wherever you love buying books, it's available there now on pre-order.
Oh, great.
And social media, whatever your favorite platform is, just look up my name and you should be able to find me there. And my website, ruthgotian.com. And if you subscribe to my social media, that you'll see some of the articles that I write in Forbes and Psychology Today and
Awesome.
Nature. So you'll really be able to get those actionable tips that you can implement immediately. And I will say, I do volunteer with the Mentor Project, and I have a show every Monday night at 8
Oh,
o'clock,
great.
8 p.m. Just go on the Mentor Project on any of the social media at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, and you'll be able to see the show live and ask questions of the guests. And a lot of the people from my book are actually there on the show that
Oh,
you'll
how
get to see.
fun.
So that Jamaican bobsledder, he's there almost every week, Devin Harris.
Right. Oh, that's so fun.
And we had Nicole Stott, the astronaut, last week. And the week before, we had Dr. Bob Lefkowitz, the Nobel Prize winner. And we have others coming up. So go check it out. It's a lot of fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Oh man, I'm going to check it out. I am. And I want to thank you so much for spending your time with me because I know you're a busy woman, but I was really, really excited for this interview. And I'm glad we connected. I
Me
really am.
too.
So I'm going to go check out that book. I'm going to check out your show. This is fun, fun
Thank you,
times.
girl. Thank you. It was fun.
Thank you. And guys, thank you so much for being here and spending this time with us. I will make sure to link all of Dr. Ruth's information down in the show notes so you can go ahead and grab her book, go look at her show, follow her on social media. Let's see all this amazing work that she's doing. The Success Factor is coming out so that you can have the success in your life. So I cannot wait for all of this to come out. Thank you guys for watching. This is Dina Perez. This is Straight Talk, no sugar added. Don't forget to subscribe, click like, share away, and let's get this community growing. Until next time.
This broadcast is brought to you by Wincheck Studios. We are an all-in-one educational platform for podcasters that revolutionizes how hosts leverage content to increase engagement with listeners, downloads, and income. We come together to focus on community, collaboration, and collective impact. For more information on how you can interact directly with our hosts, access exclusive live content with offers you can't get anywhere else from our official partners, join our purpose-driven community by visiting www.winject.com. If you're ready to build a career doing what you love, then we're ready to see you there.